Hi, trendsetters. Dr. Lena, coming to you from tomorrow, my special gift. And, of course, so much to cover. I think we have to kick off with Eric Adams, the New York mayor. He tried, but then said he couldn't possibly separate his Christian beliefs from his political actions, which is in direct contravention of the Constitution that Americans allegedly hold so dear, but they really need to reread it, right? Because it was about avoiding religious persecution and freedom to worship, but just as important, freedom from the state, the nation state, impinging on you in the form of religion, right? So I think someone should start a class action on religious persecution for not being allowed to be a non-Christian. There you go. I'll leave you with that thought. So let's have a look. Eric Adams. Will this just be yesterday's news, like it probably already is, or will there be any reaction to this? New York City, God, New York. Let's have a look. Eric Adams. I've altered my computer position, which will make it better for you to see the cards go down, but at the same time, it's a bit more awkward for me, so I'm not sure if I'll keep this process. Oh, look. This is symbolic of the turn in the road that America is facing about this issue everywhere, right? What is it? Please tell me, viewers, what is it that is so captivating about these narrow-minded, bigoted people? I can answer my own question. People like simplicity, and so an uneducated reverend in the anywhere who has the power and capacity to speak will convince people of 5 passages of the Bible that make everything illegal and immoral. Have we not moved on? Okay. So this is a crossroads. I don't know what to say. Unusual for me. He's juggling this. He's juggling it. But not everyone is happy behind the scenes. You'd have to say, here he is, King of Wands, or as Linda G would say, king for a day. He's not going to move from this position, but it's going to leave him a bit out in the cold. I mean, you can't actually trust someone who doesn't actually have a grasp on a political life without it being driven by the Old Testament. What is wrong with this picture? So he'll continue, but it will have repercussions behind the scenes, right? I think people thought, oh, great, a black mayor, and now there's a bit of buyer's remorse or voters' remorse. Eric Adams, God. Now, another exciting development, the DOJ has said, finally, yawn, finally, that, what is it? Let me see. Trump does not have immunity for Jan 6 in terms of the speech he gave at Ellipse Park or wherever it was. This is a really, really important ruling because it leaves the way open to be sued for inciting the crowd, which means Dems, individual Dems who choose to do it and go for him, but also the police who are injured. It paves the way for their court cases. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Trump does not have immunity for the speech. Will there be court cases about this, particularly from the Capitol Police? What's going to happen about this ruling? Capitol Police. Let's have a little looky. I'm thinking here, this is the 10 of Wands, the card of the burden. It could be the burden of proof is still hard to meet because there could be an argument, it was just a spirited speech. It's not going to be easy for people to actually prosecute him on this. Yeah, hate that. There's still a great deal of secrecy about what went on that day. And I would recommend to everyone, I might put the link up after this, Midas Touch had a lawyer on who gave a timeline for January 6th, which we all sort of know in our back brain on some level, but he just puts it hour by hour in a few minutes. And I must admit, I was shocked anew at the scandalous behaviour and sequence of events. So Midas Touch. Okay. Anyway, the mistress of secrecy here. What's going on? I think they will. This is over the burden of proof with this 7 of Wands. I think they'll go for it. I think the Capitol Police, I don't see individual Dems coming forward and following through. Would love to be wrong. Why wouldn't they? Plain. Sorry about that. It's going to be 95 degrees today, so the house is already hot, so I thought the garden for now. It's a race against the sun, so if I'm talking quicker than normal, I'm racing. Okay, 7 of Wands. They are going to keep going with it. It's going to be dragged out. We should be used to this with court cases, right? But it won't happen quickly. But I think they'll get there in the end, and they should be really well compensated for that. So we will see. And by the way, I'd just like to throw it out there. Unless we start seeing some indictments, we know they're hovering in the wings. You can feel them, taste them, touch them. This is Fani Willis in Georgia. This is Jack Smith. This is Alvin Bragg and Letitia James. If we don't see something by the end of March, I think I'm just going to give up. No, I'm only joking. I'm not going to stop doing YouTube. But how long does it take? You know, just shocking. What I've got here, Bernie Sanders. Oh, yeah. Bernie Sanders points out that 90% of all the media is owned by 8 companies. Now, I'm thinking in the aftermath of this Fox thing, oh, and there's another court case. Remind me, Bernie Sanders. You can scream at your screen. Galena, you forgot Bernie. No, I'll try and remember. There's another voting machine outfit called Smart Something. And basically, it would seem to me they've let Dominion do all the work. And they've come in over the top. And they're suing for 2.6 billion. I think Dominion's lawsuit is 1.6 billion for libel, and Smart Machines is 2.6. So I think that's a bit cheeky, but let's have a look. Will Smart Voting Machines go ahead? Smart Voting Machine. What is going to happen there? Oh, I've got the hangman again. Knight of Pentacles. I think they're going to get some sort of compensation too. So why the walking away card? I think this could be that maybe they were thinking of walking away because I suspect Fox Entertainment, if that's how you like to get your entertainment, kept talking about Dominion. So they thought there wasn't a case. Now they've looked at all the legal work that's been done and they've gone, oh, we could do that too. It's a bit cheeky, but I think that this was the first card, and I think it's the mini past in that sense. Now, what do I? Here's the death card. Here is the death card. I think after this all plays out and the dust settles, it's going to hopefully represent the death of that, not that business model or just talking rubbish on the airwave. It's having to watch their behaviour so they don't get sued. It's the only thing that keeps them in line, right? But they'll do the bare minimum. The hangman. This is over the walking away. So people learning tarot, the position of the cards in a spread gives you extra clues. So they were walking away. Then being upside down, they got a different perspective. And they're motivated by the money. If this court case was successful, they would make more money than they ever would doing their core business. So they are motivated by money. And I would say expect to see some sort of legal thing going on. Now, back to Bernie. He's done his best as a one-man show to try and wake America up to the fact that if you are a tax-paying first world country, you're entitled to health care. That's what every other government of every other developed country does. It's absolutely central to the social contract. You pay tax and we provide infrastructure, schools, healthcare, and defence, right? That's what a democracy has taxes for. And there's this huge amount. So in America, everything's gone to the military in eye-watering numbers, but not healthcare. It's crazy. It's crazy. Okay. So Bernie's gone on to say America is an oligarchy. He's actually said it. I must admit I've said it before too. But I think it needs to be looked at in that light. The big corporations have more power than the government in certain areas. But the point I wanted to look at is, are we going to see globally some change in media laws and media ownership? So there can't be these monopolies. Will there be a legal change? Oops. Change in media laws. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, that's positive. That's positive. So the big moguls of the media industry are going to, keep holding on. Unless they're absolutely forced to do it differently, they will hold on and it's business as usual. But there is strength to the demand to break up these monopolies. People are working on this very hard, step by step. I was thrilled to see the judgment card here. So I think there's various meanings to this card too. And I'd like to stress, I see it as, because it's the end of the whole major arcana, this is calling us as a collective. So what's happening in all democracies at the moment? Democracies are supposed to be by and for the people, and it's drifted so far away from that. So this is about people waking up and standing up. So this is a case of if you, the people, and I'm talking about we, the people in Australia too, the UK, everyone else is suffering from these news giants just pre-digesting our news and giving us what they want. We have to stand up to them. Different for young people who don't source their news through conventional sites, but it's still important in terms of, look what happened with Facebook and everything else. The angels in the air mediums, we're now in a cyber age. We, the people, have to do a bit of smacking of legs, and say, no, won't tolerate it. Break up the giants. Wouldn't that be a brand new day? But I think this corporate power has been so abused that it's forcing people to realise this. So people have to realise they have a voice, and their voice is powerful when in numbers. So important. Okay, now, the Tennessee governor, has he put an anti-drag bill, or I've got in my notes he's signing it? What I've got here, Tennessee governor signing an anti-drag bill. This is because drag queens are such a threat. Unlike AR-15s or whatever they are, AR-15s. Yes, you can have one of those, but you can't leave the house wearing your sister's frock. That's a threat. Really. Is their masculinity so tentative, so insecure, they can't cope with drag? Anyway, in this bill, the first time, I presume, you're caught cross-dressing. I mean, really, this is America. You can't wear what you want. I mean, think of it. The first time is a misdemeanor, and the second time, it's a felony. Illegal to be a drag queen. What? It's just so, talk about the hypocrisy of these people who will not support the most fundamental gun laws and everything else, but furious and out there and legislating against drag queens. Hypocrites. But the Hypocrite of the Week award could be the governor of Tennessee, or it could be Paul Ryan. Right? Paul Ryan, disgusting creature. He looks normal. That's the danger with people like Paul Ryan. You look at Marjorie Taylor Greene and you're looking at a mad woman, right? It's there in the eyes. This is a fruitcake. You wouldn't want to share a subway car. You'd move to the other side. She's overtly what she is. Paul Ryan looks like a normal person, and he's not. Apparently, he used to make all his staff read the Ayn Rand books. And if you haven't heard of Ayn Rand, she's the one who wrote The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugs. And it's all about individualism. There's no such thing as society. No. It's just the individual. And I'm pleased to report, as a student of history, Ayn Rand, who wanted to cut Social Security back 50 years ago, ended up on Social Security and died alone. I'm not surprised. So Paul Ryan, I digress. Paul Ryan, now he's coming out, anyone but Trump, no. He's been sitting on the board of Fox. What a hypocrite. I think he wins the award. And he says, I begged them not to do this, that, and the other. As if they'd listen to you, Paul. And what were you doing there in the first place? And is it a paid position? What? Yeah. The scandals are endless. Okay. Now, one more one I wanted to have a look at. Arizona AG sat on the report that was publicly funded, mind you, that debunked the fact there was electoral fraud. And now there's talk he could be disbarred. Let's see. Let's see. Arizona AG, could he be disbarred? Arizona AG. Rudy's finally been disbarred, hasn't he? Okay. Now, he hasn't got fabby cards. I mean, look at these, like, this is not always bad, by the way, but in this case it is. The swords are coming out for him. He's been sitting pretty for quite some time, thinking he's got away with it. I think there'll be a court case, not a court case, the legal board or whoever qualifies lawyers. Right? Here's the Queen of Swords. The devil. It could be actually demonstrated that he is chained to the devil in some way. There could be more news stories. Who encouraged him or even paid him to sit on that report? That's a question. That's a question. Now, in terms of the need for democracy, and if you don't want to lose it, use it, I'm returning to East Palestine in Ohio, and more and more people are suing Northern Star Rail over this. EPA is saying they have to pay for the cleanup. But what is an effective cleanup? We get this nonsense all the time in Australia. When a coal mine exhausts the coal in a site, they're legally required to remediate. Well, really? Awesome. However, what that means usually is just throwing some grass over the tailings and hoping for the best, Are we going to see a real push for an effective cleanup? Before then, and we must remind ourselves constantly, the Ohio derailment was just one of many. Many, 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 many. But it's like mass shootings. They're daily in the US, and one every now and again leaps out and stays in the news for more than 5 minutes. And it's a bit like this, I think, with Ohio. It's somehow symbolic of the other filthy, destructive things. And the only thing that's going to change this behaviour is costing them money, and not just disbanding the company, changing your name and starting up down the road. No, right? You have to start holding boards accountable. Okay. No, actually, I won't read on that. Something else has come up that I think is hugely important. There's the first Indigenous representative in Alaska, and she basically ran on one issue, which was the fishing industry in Alaska. And as we all know, the fishing industry in Alaska is massive, and it's the lifeblood of Alaska. Now, what has happened, of course, stocks have plummeted. And so halibut fishermen, all the salmon are on these tiny quotas. Their industries are falling apart. Whereas, I forget the name of the actual fish, but these big companies who fish use drift net fishing. Now, I'm getting on my hobby horse here. Drift net fishing should be globally banned. And that's because it sounds right. Drift net sounds nice, doesn't it? No, what they do is dredge the ocean floor, taking all the young of every species with them to get their poxy haul of fish that they sell while other people are going broke. And then there's no more to be had because of drift net fishing. And it's a real problem off the coast of Australia as well. So ban fish, this sort of behaviour. Leave the fish, at least to have other little fish. But I want to have a look at her campaign to expose this company and explain to people why this is a problem that is actually really bad news for Alaska. Is her name Mary Peltola, I think? You can correct me if I'm wrong. She's a Dem who got in, first Indigenous woman in Alaska to be a lawmaker. Will she be successful? Oh, please, will she be successful? Will she be successful? Okay. Oh, I'm going to say yes. I don't know when. I don't think it's going to be in the next 5 minutes because these things never are. And we've got the burden here, which is hard work. But this little spread kicks off with the Ace of Pentacles. She can make the argument it's about the money for all Alaskans. And this procedure sabotages the Alaskan economy. I think she's capable of making that case. That excites me. There's the Hermit here, which could mean that she's isolated politically, or it could be shining the light. I think it's more the shining the light. See, the Hermit illuminates in the darkness. I think she can do this because the last card is the Three of Cups, women celebrating. And in the one World Tarot, we've put a man in here, so it's people celebrating. I think that's a really important outcome. I think she could be another Erin Brockovich, and as we know, we need hundreds more. Oh my God, I think she might do it. And the reason she might do it is because Alaska has such a strong state identity. All states do, of course, but it refers to itself as Alaska and the lower 48. So I think she can tap into bringing Alaskans together over this. She could have a real future. I'm very optimistic for this woman. At the moment, she's singularly focused on this issue, but I think she has huge potential. She could be the new Dem Nikki Haley, who came out this week saying America's not racist. So that's cool. What rock have you been living under? She's so dangerous. Oh, let's have a quick look at DeSantis and Disney, because DeSantis, of course, has taken over the district that was previously a tax-free haven for Disney. So I'm a bit torn on this issue, as I've said before. Disney got all these privileges and perks and got to use all the infrastructure and then just be fabulous. Ironically, this could mean that Disney has a case about the governor actually, cutting their throat. So with Disney, who DeSantis makes the face of the culture wars, the cheek of them, they invented the culture wars. What are they talking about, these stupid, dumbass Republicans, So it means that the citizens of that county, wherever Disney is, will now have to pick up an infrastructure bill of $2.6 billion. Yoo-hoo, yoo-hoo, hello. So now it's going to hit their hip pockets. I want to ask generally, will there be any pushback electorally on DeSantis because of Disney and just because? You know. Another Florida, let me just write that down so I don't forget. Pushback on DeSantis. Some Florida GOP has attributed gayness, did you catch up with this, to the drinking water because too many women take the contraceptive pill and it leaches into the water supply and there's too much estrogen. I'm sorry, but the birth control pill isn't about estrogen, but we won't worry about a fact. It's leaching into the water and it's turning men gay. You didn't know that, did you? So let's have a look. Will there be any electoral backlash to DeSantis? I'm curious about this. I'll do a 5 card. Oh, I love that. Oh, my goodness. Because I've been a bit worried that DeSantis is just, has this huge wall of support. And he does. And he does. But it's like whoever's advising him, he's sitting here as the King of Wands, is not actually doing a marvelous job. I don't think people are that happy with other things that he's doing. It's adding up. He's got the death card sitting over his head. He's got the Knight of Swords, so he's going to keep going. But this is a card of being heedless, being careless, being impulsive. This isn't his essential personality. This is his wranglers pushing him to do more and more extreme things because he is an out-and-out fascist and he's now talking about curbing the media, and not in the way we were just talking about, just bad stuff. But this is the people rising up. This is the social justice conscience. Look, when I think about these spreads today, what's sort of jumping into my mind is everyone's been so ground down, they've been so gaslit, they're so exhausted. But I think, and I hope the astrologers are right, and I'm sure they are because they're all saying very similar things about the next 3 years, next 5 years, next 10 years. We've got to stop thinking about these overnight solutions, right? But 10 years in terms of human history is a blink, right? Nothing, absolutely nothing. If people start forming action committees and stuff, positivity is as contagious as fear, panic, anything else. We need a contagion of democracy. People actually fighting for their very fundamental rights as democratic citizens, I'll leave you with that thought because I've got to go and get ready because I'm on with Hogarth and Lady G very, very soon, which is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Hogarth Astrology. So I'll see you there shortly. Bye for now. Ciao.